Hi, everyone. My name is Christy Louie, and I'm the managing editor here at Hayden's Ferry Review. Thank you so much for joining us for our issue 72 launch party. For accessibility purposes, live transcript has been enabled. If you'd like to view a live transcription, you can click the live transcript button on the bottom of your screen. First, we want to acknowledge the 22 Native nations that have inhabited this land for centuries. Arizona State University's 4 campuses are located on the Salt River Valley on ancestral territories of Indigenous peoples, including the Acamel Odom and Peepash Indian communities, whose care and keeping of these lands allow us to be here today. We know that a land acknowledgement without action is not sufficient and are making efforts toward equitable practices, most immediately by waiving the submission fee for all Indigenous writers who would like to submit creative work to HFR. If you identify as Indigenous, we encourage you to submit. In addition, we just opened for submissions for HFR's inaugural Indigenous Poets Prize in collaboration with the Center for the Imagination Within the Borderlands, Reading Journal, the Thousand Languages Project, and the Piper Center for Creative Writing. The final judge for the contest is Pulitzer Prize-winning poet Natalie Diaz, who also serves as director of the Center for the Imagination in the Borderlands. Winning poems will receive a cash prize and publication in HFR and will be featured in a virtual reading with Natalie Diaz. Please go to our website for more details and share this opportunity with your communities. As you know, we're here tonight to celebrate the newest issue of Hayden's Ferry Review and hear work from 5 of our issue 72 contributors: Audrey Bauman, C.D. Eskilson, Kathryn Kysar, Chisaraokwu, and Chinụa Ezenwa-Ọhaeto. We are so excited for these 5 readings and so grateful to these writers for sharing their time with us today. Before we start the reading, we wanted to tell you a little more about issue 72, which focused on the theme remix. When we remix something, we reimagine what it is, what it was, or what it has the capacity to be. Issue 72 of Hayden's Ferry Review features work that remixes form, like Arnisha Royston's Golden Shovel No. 2, which is a reinterpretation of the essence of Richard Wright's haikus, or Andrea Hellman's digital painting, Dance Floor, which liquefies a mosaic and then adds shapes to create something new. Issue 72 also features work that remixes myth, memory, and history, like Lauren Wood's essay, Imagine with Difficulty, which reworks a US Defense Department document to tell the larger story about human rights failures caused by weapons sales. Or Jessica Powell's short story, Middle School Math, which considers the San Francisco fog and reinterprets it as part of a larger coming-of-age mythology. Even our cover art, which is part of a series called Dreaming in the Anthropocene, is a work of reimagination. To summarize from Ray Hendricks's accompanying artist statement, in this project, Hendricks's double exposure photos are ruined by remixing them with different chemicals, temperatures, and climates before developing. The project takes inspiration from the knowledge that the sunset colors are influenced by humanity's pollution, and it underscores the idea that we can find beauty in our present moment, even as we work for a better future. I am so excited to now turn the stage over to our 5 featured readers who will share their own interpretations of the theme remix with you. During the reading, HFR senior editor Susan Nguyen will be using the Zoom chat to share links about where you can find more of our readers' work and also where to purchase your copy of issue 72. Most importantly, we'd like to encourage everyone in attendance to please use the chat to cheer on our readers. You can drop in lines or phrases that stand out to you, share words of encouragement, or extend your congratulations. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome HFR fiction editor Frankie Concepcion, who will be introducing our first reader.
Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Frankie Concepcion, and I'm the current fiction editor for Hayden's Ferry Review. I'm also going to be the managing editor next year, and it is my pleasure to introduce issue 72 contributor Audrey Bauman this evening. So Audrey Bauman is a PhD student at the University of Utah and senior books editor at Quarterly West. She received her MFA from Northern Michigan University. Her work has appeared in Craft, Had, Paper Darts, and others. Recently, I had the pleasure of interviewing Audrey to learn more about her story, The River, which was published in this issue of HFR. It was such a pleasure to revisit this piece, which strikes a perfect balance between the familiar and the strange, and which asks us to think deeply about what we desire and what we are willing to do to get it. I just know we will all enjoy hearing it tonight as much as I enjoyed reading it. please join me in welcoming Audrey Bauman. Woo!
Thank you so much for that introduction, Frankie. That was so sweet. And thank you, Hayden's Fair Review, for having me here tonight. Thank you, everyone in attendance, for being here to listen to our work and to spend your time with us. It really does mean a lot to me, and I'm so glad to be here. Hi, Lindsay. So I'm going to read the first two sections from my story, The River, which was published in the new HFR remix issue. And I'll get into it pretty quickly. The only thing I'll say before I read this short excerpt is that the story kind of braids two timelines. And so the first timeline is one continuous moment that's spread across the course of the whole story. And there are other threads. The other timeline is everything that happens up to that point. So you'll get a piece from both timelines in this brief reading, and I'll get into it. Thank you, everyone. The River. On a summer night, you step off the banks of the Little Mamel and into the water below. The frogs are singing, the raccoons rustling in the meadow behind you. You've stumbled on a coyote out here before and wouldn't love to meet one tonight. Though that creature perked up and ran after hearing your footsteps, your cousin's dog was torn apart by a pack of them, stomach ripped clean open, its carcass found by the road the next day. Small, sharp-toothed things, like the one you've agreed to see this evening, the one you've crept outside to visit, going on 3 months now. She swims towards you as you wade through lily pads. Her eyes hang above the surface, and she's trailed by a curtain of dark hair. You envy that hair, thick and shiny despite death. And her face, how unlike yours, its vacant eyes refuse to telegraph her anticipation or her fear. She lifts her lips from below the water. You have it, she creaks. Mud soaks into your socks, sticks your shoes to the bottom. You nod, and from your pocket fish out the gift she requested tonight, an old braid of your hair, cut off days after you turned 11. You drop it into the water and, hand like a minnow, her fingers snatch and curl around it, loving. The gift disappears into her billowing garments. She shakes her head, flicking droplets onto your tank top. Out with it, Annie, she says. What do you want this time? She appears to you by accident. On an afternoon, you canoe the river with your neighbor and her friends, but a bad paddler, you keep colliding with the bank. The neighbor girl is 30 yards ahead. She helped you get started, showed you how to push off, but now she's left you alone and probably on purpose. Resenting you because her parents asked her to bring you along, and because you beat her score at the last choir competition, where you both performed as soloists, but for different schools. Your neighborhood is filled with kids who go to her school, a private one down the road, housed in buildings that used to be a megachurch until its leaders sold them to build a bigger one. Meanwhile, you bus across town to a public school you applied to get into. You dislike hiking and sports and TV, don't understand how to do your hair. At your most honest, you know you still suck at washing it. Despite starting with the same tools as your neighbor, you have no idea how to use them, constantly, endlessly, feeling yourself fall behind. You swerve into the riverside, this time under a low branch, and as you bat it from your face, a snake spins from its resting place in the treetop, falling onto your lap in a frantic coil. The scene unfolds in slow motion, an old school movie montage, the side of the boat tipping into the river, muddy water in your mouth, the frightened snake's fangs digging into your thigh. You pray it's not a copperhead as you use up your last breath. When you wake, propped against a fallen tree, slimy and half rotting in the water, she's sitting over you in a white sundress, her right hand smeared with your blood. She croaks something, and for a paranoid moment, you think she's calling you a bitch. What did you say? You demand, sitting up. She clears her throat, rolls her eyes, and says, more clearly this time, but still with a scratch beneath, what is your wish? Her name is Kathy. She's been dead 18 years, which is 1 year longer than you've been alive. She's fuzzy on whether she drowned or was drowned, and she remembers search parties combing the area a week after her death before trickling down to her family, and then her brother, and then no one at all. She collects the river's abandoned objects, things people love, things they lose, junk they throw in the water to be rid of, or in a bid for good luck, like pennies down a well. And, she tells you, if she satisfies enough desires, she can leave this river and go to whatever awaits her beyond. This is because when she was alive, she couldn't make anyone happy, and that remains her greatest regret. You pull up clumps of grass as she recites this speech, and when she finishes, you ask if she can send snakes to the canoe of the neighbor girl who left you behind. She looks aghast at this. That's what will make you happy, she says. You feel bad, and say, no, actually, you got a bit confused, and all you need is someone to talk to as your clothes dry out in the sun. She chatters the rest of the afternoon about flighty summer storms, snakes with nests full of babies who wriggle across the gravel trails, and people who linger by her part of the river, but have never seen her, not until you. When you hear your father and the neighbor girl swimming through the grass, pushing aside brush grown chest high, and yelling for you, she asks if you will visit her again. You promise to return, but you're not sure how to find her. You will, she tells you, come to the water and bring something important to you, something you'll miss. What kind of something, you ask, but they're shouting louder now. You pull yourself from the water and poke your head above the grass, let the searchers see the shimmer of your forehead. Your father crests the hill. You turn to say goodbye to her, a white cloud drifting among the reeds, but Kathy is already gone. Thanks, everybody.
Wow, thank you so much. That was lovely to hear. And now I have the great honor and pleasure to introduce Chisaraokwu, one of our poets this evening. And I'll read her bio, her formal bio first, and then I'll say a few words. But Chisaraokwu is a transdisciplinary poet artist, writer, and healthcare futurist. She's been awarded fellowships with Anaphora Arts, Brooklyn Poets, Kaveh Khanum, MacDowell, and the Periplus Collective. Her writings appear in Obsidian, Cutthroat, Cider Press Review, Pank, and the Washington Post, the New England Journal of Medicine, and more. She is grateful for additional support from Banff Center for Arts and Creativity, Pacific University, and Tin House. Her anthropoetic approach to poetry utilizes spiritual, oral, and print archives of West Africa and its diaspora to explore its rituals, traumas, and joy. Find her on Twitter at Chisa, RAASOMUGHA. And hopefully we can put that in the chat in a sec too, for folks who would like to follow Chisaraokwu on Twitter. But first, I would just love to say that when we first came across Chisaraokwu's poems in our queue, we were instantly moved by her sonic and syntactic deconstructions across multiple languages. We were wowed by how much the work demonstrated the guttural, bodily possibilities of listening and finding our ancestors' words, their voices, and the new linguistic formations of our writing. So please, everybody, help me in welcoming Chisaraokwu to our reading.
Oh my God, that was beautiful, Ada. Thank you. Wow. And thank you, Hayden's Ferry Review, and everyone that is here listening. I am ever grateful. I'm going to share my screen so you can see the poem that is published in Hayden Ferry Review. And it is called Wummata. And it's a deconstruction of a phrase that I was listening to, or that kept coming up over and over again. You listen to YouTube and podcasts and that talk about positivity, and they tell you affirmations like, I am worthy. And I was going through a period where many of my friends and myself were having a lot of issues with our uteri, our uteruses. And just felt in my spirit to take a moment and deconstruct that word, that phrase, I am worthy. And in so doing, a lot came through in terms of what ancestors, our collective ancestors, my friends and I, had been saying to us, and then also our own sort of anguish around what it means to be woman. So it's woman without womb, but obviously there's no N or B in the word, in the phrase, I am worthy. So that's where Wummata came from. And I'll read from it. I think I'll read the whole thing. What I am warm wrought, thy war woman, thy mort, thy war mummy worth yam yam, worth ram, I am woman, oh, yam wrought, room, riot, womb, I oath wrought, womb wrought my mammy, wait with wrought, warm, ray, mama, may I wait? Why harm? Why harm womb? Womb rot, that yam, mama. Throw away rot. A warm womb, a mama womb, throw away rots. Try, my womb raw meat. Mommy womb meat with orb. What? Meat, my ham, I am or I row. Water. How my room away rots. Who harm, mama? Who harm me? Who rot, mama me? What womb harm, mama me? Rot, throw rot away. I wrath away to rot. Trim my womb. It were a riot, or rot it. Riot womb. What womb matter? Womb rot my What matter? Womb rot I. Womb may meet. Womb may war. Womb may war at. May harm my art. May yo mommy. Yo mama rot. Womb me. Mama worthy. I'm worth yam, hot yam, rhythm, oh, rhythm, hot war. I am woman, my womb rots, my art warm, my rhythm, oh, yo, yam. I meet water, trim army rot, womb war worthy art. I, hot yam water, mommy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chisaraokwu. Just witnessing your reading and seeing you pronounce all the spirit and body of Mata and witness and all the boys was such an enriching experience. It was like a meditation. I have goosebumps. Hello, everyone. I am Asna Nusrat. I have been the associate editor of nonfiction, and I will be the upcoming editor of translations for HFR. And today I have the honor of introducing C.D. Eskilson, who is one of our published translators for this remix issue. C.D. Eskilson is a trans poet, editor, and translator from Los Angeles. Their work appears in The Offing, Waxwing, Pallades, and they are a Pushcart Prize and Best New Poets nominee. C.D. is an assistant poetry editor at Split Lip magazine. They are an MFA candidate at the University of Arkansas, where they received the Walton Family Fellowship in Poetry and Lily Peter Fellowship in Translation. And now a few words from what I experienced of C.D. Eskilson's translations. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce C.D. today because reading C.D.'s translations and savoring the beauty of these poems was such an honor for me and the entire team. In sorrow, it was difficult to forget the music and memory in lines like, as a keepsake, I snapped off a pine branch that shaded the road wonderfully, like a cloud, then traced my steps back to the sea. In At the Shore, the proximity to the original, the way the translation danced around it, and the reverence for the form and rhyme were all so magical. Maintaining all that while preserving a fresh crunch in images like, I stare all travelers here in the eye to make them miserable all their lives, was equal parts magic and craft. Please join your hands to welcome the brilliant C.D. Eskilson.
Thank you so much, Asna. Thank you for those very, very kind words. It's just wonderful to hear that. Thank you to all of the Hayden Sperry Review editors, all the staff, and everybody here tonight. Thank you for being here and sharing this work with us. So I'm going to read some translations by the poet Edith Sodergren. Edith Sodergren is a Finland-Swedish poet who was alive in the early 1900s, just as some background. And she is kind of well known for rejecting the previous lyrical forms and modes of Swedish language writing at the time. She died of tuberculosis at the age of 31, receiving very little positive recognition during her life, though today she is one of the Scandinavian Peninsula's greatest poets. And I'm going to be reading some poems from her 1916 debut collection, just titled Poems. So here are the ones that are in HFR. This one is called Sorrow. Fair sister, do not climb the mountains. They tricked me and they had nothing to offer my longing. As a keepsake, I snapped off a pine branch that shaded the road beautifully, like a cloud, then traced my steps back to the sea. The tides break countless trinkets, cast them in sand, and vainly I search for a treasure to make my beauty shine. Come sit with me. I shall tell you of my sorrow, and we will share each other's secrets. You will show me your brilliance, your wit, and I will offer you silence. We'll listen. So another one called At the Shore. When it rains and the sea grays, I get sick. I laugh with the sun, joke with wind, tease the beach, but high seas are the only thing I love. I live in a cave full of bats, am slight and pale with treacherous eyes. My feet are the loveliest I have seen, and constantly I bathe them in foamy seawater. My hands are dazzling and brilliant. They shine just like the smiling ghost. I stare all travelers here in the eye to make them miserable for all their lives. Oh, but I cradle my head in my hands. What is it that hurts me so much? Once I threw myself against a rock, nearly died, because I reached out in vain to touch a stranger passing by. This is one called Two Goddesses. When you saw the face of happiness, it disappointed you. This dozer with limp features, she must worshipped, the most mentioned, the least familiar of all goddesses, and she who rules the placid sea, the blooming garden, endless sunny days. You resolved to never serve her. And then grief came with longing in her eyes. She who's never summoned, the most familiar, least understood of goddesses, who rules the stormy sea, the scuttled ships, those locked up for a lifetime, who rules the curses heaped on children before birth. Yeah, so as you might have noticed, one of the themes throughout Sotogren's work is kind of working with myth or working with fairy tales, which will come up in another couple of these poems, but she's also obsessed with the ocean, which as someone from Southern California, I adore. It's part of why I love working with her work. There's just so much going on with beaches and oceans and coastlines that's just really beautiful. So this one is called Love. My soul was a dress, pale blue as the sky. I left it on a rock by the sea, and naked I came to you, looking like a woman. And like a woman, I sat at your table and drank a bowl of wine, breathed in the scent of roses. You found me beautiful, like someone you saw in a dream. I forgot it all, forgot my childhood and my homeland. I knew only that your touch kept me captive. You smiled, held out a mirror, told me to look at myself. I saw my shoulders were made of dust, crumbling. I saw my beauty was sick, and I wanted then to vanish. Hold me in your arms, so close that I need nothing. This is one called Violet Twilights. These violet twilights I hold on to from my distant past. Fair maidens frolicking with trotting centaurs, bright golden days with cheery glances. Only sunbeams pay true homage to a woman's body. No man has yet arrived, has ever been, will ever be. Man is a trick mirror, the sun's daughter breaks on cliffs. Man is a lie, a mystery to an innocent child. Man is a rotten fruit that proud lips scorn. Beautiful sisters, climb up on the highest rocks. We are all shield maidens, heroines, horsewomen, all innocent eyes, angelic brows, and ruddy faces, all heavy waves and soaring birds. We are the least expected, deepest red, the tiger stripes in taut strings, the dauntless stars. I'm gonna read one more. This is one of my favorite poems. It's by her. It's called Verge Moderne. The original title is in French, and that means modern woman. This is just one of the poems I think is the most interesting that she's done. And one of the first ones that I translated, and I just love this poem a lot. And yeah, I am not a woman. I am Nutois. I'm a child, a tomboy, a bold decision. I am a scarlet streak of laughing sun. I am a net for all voracious fish. I am a toast to women's glory. I am a step towards luck and towards ruin. I am a leap to freedom and to myself. I am the blood's whisper in a man's ear. I am the soul's ague, flesh's longing and refusal. I am a signpost pointing to a new paradise. I am a flame, gallant and searching. I am a pool, deep, yet daring only up to someone's knees. I am fire and water in a free and honest union. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, CD. That was so great. My name is Christina D'Antoni, and I'm the web editor here at Hayden's Ferry Review, and I have the pleasure of introducing Chinụa. Chinụa Ezenwa-Ọhaeto grew up between Germany and Nigeria. He currently lives in Lincoln, Nebraska, where he's pursuing his PhD in English at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln with a focus in creative writing, poetry. In monologue written after watching a robin lift from a tree branch, Chinụa Ezenwa-Ọhaeto deftly moves through imagery, metaphor, and tenderness. In particular, our readers were struck by the sentiment of lacking in excitement, or in gardens, or in country. This poem and its wishes, its wet crystals, its wonders stayed in our consciousness long after we read it. So please welcome Chinụa to the stage.
Hello, Christine. Thank you for those wonderful words. And my first poem, I'll be reading 3 poems. And my first poem is Monologue, written after watching a robin leap from a tree branch. This poem is about me trying to understand things I don't understand, trying to ask questions about certain things. And these questions, these findings, what the things I don't know are in this poem. Monologue, written after watching a robin lift from a tree branch. A legend goes that a man is first a man, and then the legend questions itself. I want to know yesterday and its cognates, but what actually is tumbling in my thoughts is the image of Weil and Spato in the mouths of 2 adults kissing in a public toilet. Sometimes my thoughts deny me the freedom of hearing my arraignments. And every time I walk onto a pond, I take it to mean someone stares. It's another day today, and I've taken an axe and dismantling my boundaries. Let the morning birds bearing with them Mozart spears and Igbo waffles, wet crystals and twigs fly into my body and fill in the spaces where I lack. I lack in excitement, in openness, and in finding. I lack in my country. Lack, lack, lack. And I have staged my country many times before men and women, before my past and present, wanting to know if I did any wrong living in it, if I did any wrong tendering my mistakes and verity in it. I carry wishes I have for my country with 2 hands God gave me, and with care so they don't fall apart, so they don't someday turn into pines riddling my back and its cord. I understand that sometimes we cannot defeat our supplications, and my friend who loves playing chess often tells me that at the end of a tunnel, we sometimes find a leopard's claw, or in all probability, we find a train coming upon us. But I don't want to believe. I don't want to believe. It's another day today, and I'm wondering about its arms and legs. So, another poem I have is titled Flower, and I wrote it because I've been meaning to be a flower. I want to be a flower someday. At the backyard, the flowers my grandma planted are alive and wet with dews. I wonder the words they hold within their cause. If I can, I want to be a flower so I can grace the touches of the dawns and dusk and the blessings of butterflies. The breeze and the wind will mourn my petals. They will converse with me in the language of the seas. Passers-by will draw their noses at me for the closure of scents and crystal redolence. The rain will dress me in its glory and touch me in the places needing my dark stones to melt away. I will know tender when a touch is familiar. I will break commandments for this sweet, sweet communion, for it is the only wild thing I know. And lastly, this poem is just about myself and Imagine the Lover. So it's titled What We Wrote on the Bedsheet. It's another night today, and I'm blazing my lover's body with my hands. Maybe there are things I may never know, but I'm willing to know what my fingers can do. I love even when I'm not strong enough. I cherish my lover's body, and I am scared of the things it can allow. I cherish my bones, and I am scared of the things they can and cannot do. My lover's body is a privilege and the proximity of recognizing who descends her grace. I touch her breast, and I know the absence of my aloneness. History will never be kind to things it cannot fully understand. It cannot fully remember. But I will never forget this night and how I and my lover have written so much of ourselves on the bedsheet. Thank you, and thank you all for listening.
Hi, folks. Wow. Amazing work, Chinụa. I'm still reeling in your words. Sometimes it's so hard to jump in here and introduce. I just want to listen to you all. Thank you all readers for the amazing, stunning work you've shared with us tonight. Thank you attendees too for all of your love in the chat. It warms my heart to see all that chat love from this bountiful reading. My name is Winslow Schmeling. I'm the current art editor here with HFR. Shout out to Christy for shouting out some of the artwork we get to feature in this amazing issue. Also shout out to Andrea Hellman if you're there in the chat. I noticed that you're there. We got to feature some of her work at the start and in this particular issue. But I have the lucky pleasure of introducing Kathryn Kysar, whose nonfiction work appears in issue 72 of Hayden's Ferry Review, and whose work I'm very excited to introduce tonight. Kathryn Kysar is the author of 2 books of poetry, Dark Lake and Pretend the World, and she edited the anthology Writing Shotgun, Women Write About Their Mothers. She has received fellowships and residencies from the Anderson Center, the Minnesota State Arts Board, the National Endowment for the Humanities, Tofta Lake Center, the Oberholzer Foundation, and Right On Door Country. Her flash creative nonfiction has been recently published in the Molly House, Slag Glass City, and Sleet. She is the founder of the creative writing program at Anoka Ramsey Community College and lives by the Mississippi River near Badote. Kathryn's nonfiction piece titled Black Asphalt is published in this issue, which we're so excited about, and to us is an act of acrobatics. It trapezes us through sounds that ask for the whole tongue, with phrases like woozy lilacs or the city's cement sidewalks. It tumbles us through terrains of asphalt and of memory, and through what ways we might choose to or choose not to keep our feet on the ground. Please join me in welcoming Kathryn Kysar.
Oh, what an honor it is to be in issue 72, and I'm going to be doing some remixing here, and thank you to all the other wonderful readers. So I'm going to start with a couple of pieces of flash CNF, and there is a lot of tumbling back and forth in terms of times, and then I'm going to end with a poem as well. So I'll start with a piece that's in the magazine, Black Asphalt. We started the steamy summer yanking woozy lilacs from towering bushes as we pumped our bikes down asphalt alleys. Sunburnt Hawaiian punched kids, we stole candy from the pharmacy, hid hide and seek in the Methodist church, the neighbor boy trying to pull down our underwear in dusty closets. We watched the Apollo 15 landing lolling on rough living room carpeting. Rockets haunted our sleep. Our breakfasts were space food sticks, Tang, and a cereal with a cartoon alien on the box, though you never had enough food in your large family. I wanted to rescue you, but failed, like the streamer that flew off the handle of my muddy bike, the wheels swishing in the sparkling plastic into the gray puddle. We were proud of our feet, our thick calluses built up as we walked the city's cement sidewalks, imagining a sea parting for our jangling bracelets, our leather fringe, our peace decals on the hems of our faded bell-bottom jeans, long flags of brown hair waving behind us. We held our feet out bravely like the cover of Abbey Road, almost floating in our flowing white cotton dresses, the incense of cigarettes glowing in our virginal hands, records tucked in our large bags. Straight and tall, we strode the streets in our dusty bare feet, ignoring the pain, ignoring the black asphalt beneath us. So this next piece is another one about my childhood, again, flashing around. It's called Captivity. When my mother was a girl during the Depression, the circus rolled into her prairie town on slow trains, then set up near the fairgrounds. She loved the big tent, the smell of sawdust, but my circus, the cement civic center downtown. I was not captivated by the clown cars, the balloon, the woman riding high on the elephant, her arm raised in faux triumph, makeup covering her tired face. Like bland animal crackers in an exciting circus box, the show was boring and tasteless. At the school field trip to the zoo, the primate hall smelled of feces and burnt plastic from the molded black gorillas that cost $1. The neurotic tiger paced in his stone and ironed barred cage. Under an overcast sky, we sat close on hard bleachers waiting for the seal show, licking our fingers sticky with cotton candy, our paper bag lunches and warm cartons of milk ignored like the stinky moat around Monkey Island. With coaxed curiosity at the state fair, I paid my meager allowance for the freak show. Inside the tent, the woman was not part snake, only sad with scaly skin, the audience staring at her near naked body. The stench of captivity, the barker's voice, the crunching gravel beneath my running feet. So I've been threatening to write my rock and roll memoir for a really long time. I'm starting to work on putting together some memories about my young adulthood and, you know, all of the difficulties of that time, the false binaries and sexuality and gender and the racism and the misogyny, and mixed all in that some fantastic music. So this is called Little Flames. Late at night, I kept the lights dim in the radio station control room, gliding the volume up and down, listening to the off-air testing click. Each slide's red light glowed. The cart machines, professional 8-tracks, were stacked high in the corner of the disc jockey's U-shaped station. A wall of reel-to-reels slowly spun, downloading the next day's classical music shows. I might like you better if we slept together, raved Romeo Void as I cued this next song, The Talking Heads Burning Down the House. I found the edge of the sparkling open chords, the stuttering guitar, by teasing the needle back and forth in the groove, and then a judicious 1/4 turn to ramp up to 33.5. But there's something in your eyes that said maybe, baby, that's never, never say never. I felt the texture of the music through the diamond needle and the vinyl grooves. I felt the dangerous daring of the song. Bonnie and I were sitting near the windows in the college cafeteria, watching the long line of new students waiting for dinner. He was there, the tall blonde guy from Contemporary Novel in his tight Bob Marley t-shirt, his ripped jeans hanging low over his long torso. In class, he sat across from me, across from the square wooden seminar table. He didn't say much, but he had an ironic laugh. See that guy? I said, my long arms pointing towards him. I'm gonna get him. The next summer, he was living with me. The breeze billowed in the cotton curtains and smelled of cut grass. He'd covered the bed in lilacs, my favorite flower, but when we tried to make love, the sticks poked like dull fat needles. The streetlights glared through the windows, washing out all sense of stars. Could you be love and be loved, dared the record player. I struck a limp paper match and inhaled the cigarette smoke. The small blue flame faded. So I'm going to end with a poem called My Identities. One of the difficulties about sending work out to wonderful magazines like Hayden's Ferry Review is you have to get everything in that 50-word bio. It's always so hard. So this is my response to that. My identities. I am an albatross, a Gideon Bible, a fleeting glimpse of a crow looking for roadkill at dusk. I am solid mass. I am gaseous fluid. I am soft, soft flesh. I sip my tea from porcelain cups, 2 cups, maybe 3. I am the Encyclopedia Britannica moldering in your attic, a feeling of loss, a yearning, an emptiness, a rumbling deep. I am the last clump of dirty snow. I am the dog foraging behind the garage, your unused dental floss, not the neatly packaged cupcakes at the grocery store entrance, wrapped in plastic and so strangely sweet. I am the shadowy park bench in the fading orange light. I am the melting ice, the silence of early morning streets. I am your missing arm. I glow in the gas stove's heat. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathryn, so much for that incredible reading. I loved that poem, both of those, or 3 of those CNF pieces. And we all in the chat want the rock and roll memoir, so I really hope that we get to read that someday. And thank you so much to all of tonight's readers for sharing your work. It was just so lovely to share the space with you and to hear you read. So thank you for being with us. As a reminder, you can find and purchase your copy of issue 72 of Hayden's Ferry Review in the chat, and you can also use the chat to extend a final congratulations to our readers. We are so grateful to tonight's audience for attending and participating with such enthusiasm. A recording of this event will be up on the HFR site soon. All attendees of tonight's event have been entered into a raffle to win a free copy of issue 72. The winner will be contacted via email soon, and all attendees will receive a brief survey about their experience at the event. Thank you in advance for sharing your feedback with us. Please stay in touch with HFR by signing up for our newsletter. The sign-up link is in the chat now. And thank you again for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful evening.